Let's tell you what happened today in Ondo State, where Deputy Governor Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa presided over the Ondo State Executive Council meeting in the absence of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. The Deputy Governor presided over that meeting in Akure, and the ESCO's meeting occurred after months of political wrangling between the Deputy Governor and Governor Rotimi Akeredolu's loyalists. The crisis was occasioned by the absence of the governor, who had been out of the state for months due to ill health. He returned to the country, and he's been in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. But the president, Bola Tinubu, has since intervened in all of this matter. Tonight, let's get to see what exactly is going on. There seems to be a lot of undercurrent, not only in Ondo State, is in Rivers State. APC seems to be having a lot of issues internally for it to resolve. But Ondo State is the latest one. I have joining me tonight, National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Mr. Felix Moka. Thank you so much, Mr. Moka, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Shil.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It took the president intervention to resolve the matter in Ondo State.
Yes. The president is the leader of the All Progressives Congress. He's the president of the Federal Republic. So when there are issues, tensions, anywhere in the party, or for that matter, anywhere in the government of the country, he has an interest, a legitimate interest to listen, to give counsel where necessary. That's exactly what is done in Ondo State. And I think that the president has showed a lot of leadership, not just of the party, but of the country. Because, you know, when a constituent state is experiencing some sort of, you know, if you will, some standoff between its members in government, the president was, I think, right in intervening. I mean, I think we've seen previous presidents who were a bit apathetic, you know, to this sort of situation. But this president, characteristically, I think, you know, got involved. And just the other day, you also saw how some governors from the opposition even extended some commendation to him for the way he also intervened in the case of, you know, Rivers, where, you know, again, there was tension between some of the key stakeholders in that state. So our president is, you know, up and running. He's, I think, being very vigilant and conscious of his responsibility.
There are those who will say, oh, there is a political jitter in your party. That's why this running around is happening, because elections are coming and the party is not in the right shape. There's bickering between the deputy and the governor. But as the president able to determine the course of action in the party in Ondo State?
Yes, I mean, you know, you're sure, you acknowledged that the deputy governor presided over the state, you know, council today, which wasn't the case. Again, you know, carrying out some of the advice that he got from the president.
The House of Assembly retrieving or withdrawing the case from the Court of Appeal.
Absolutely. I mean, this is part of, you know, the effort to make the peace and to keep the peace.
Did the president say that Aiyedatiwa can get the ticket of the party?
You know,
is that part of the deal?
I can't confirm any of that. And that's not necessary at this point. What is there is that the stakeholders in Ondo, realizing that the conflict is not in the best interest of the state, following the president's, you know, advice, are rethinking their positions and each yielding ground, each, you know, adjusting a little in order to win the peace. And I think the peace is what the president is interested in at this point. It's not so much about any kind of political calculation. I think it's more about ensuring that the state is able to function and to function well.
Let us get a sense of what is going on in Ondo State. Mr. Felix Moka has been speaking with us on the situation in the party. And so I was asking you how all of this is happening and what is the fate of Mr. Aiyedatiwa, because at the heart of all of this is who becomes the flag bearer of the APC in Ondo State governorship race. That was the crux of the matter.
Correct.
And the fear was that Mr. Aiyedatiwa is having a stronger hold in the absence of the governor. Has that been resolved at all? If that's not resolved, the problem has not gone.
You know, the background to this was the unfortunate ill health of the governor, Governor Keredolu. And you know, there's a reason in our constitutional democracy why you have a governor, you have a deputy. You know, for reasons like this. So, but those who are looking at calculations for the next election and who may win, the candidacy of the party, I think are just accelerating their own thinking. We're not there yet. Right now, there's a state that needs to be administered by the governor, but unfortunately, the governor is not, feeling very well. That gap that has been created has to be filled, mostly by the deputy governor. But of course, unfortunately, that created a lot of tension in the state, which the president has just intervened to try to mediate and resolve. So, we are concerned first and foremost with running the state of Ondo and ensuring that things don't fall apart. But it's less for us about who emerges flag bearer for the next election. I mean, that of course is part of the undercurrent in some of the tensions we're seeing, but that's not our priority at this point.
What about Kano? Literally, I mean, you are a lawyer. You saw what happened. The court says it was a clerical error. I mean, but of course, you understand the meaning of clerical error. And those who say that doesn't look like a clerical error, he's put a big question mark on the integrity of that judgment, and it's causing a lot of trouble. And there are those in the opposition who are accusing your party of what's the word now that was used, that you have taken over the judiciary. Your party is taking over the judiciary.
Shehu, I'm sure even as you ask this question, I'm sure you know that there's really no basis for that charge against the APC. There was an election in Kano. Results were called. The NMPP was declared winner of that election. The APC went to court, and the courts have resolved in favor of the APC. Now, which of that process is illegitimate or is illegal? The election itself was completely legal and legitimate. The legal challenge that the APC brought against the outcome of that election is also legal and legitimate. The courts are legitimate creation of our constitution. You cannot have our democracy without the courts. So, when courts give a verdict that are against you, this tendency on the part of the opposition, whether it's the PDP or the Labour Party, and now the NMPP in Kano, is unnecessary. It's irresponsible, quite frankly, because we, the ruling party, we have also suffered from judicial strike, like we experienced in Osun State. We were in government. We didn't intimidate or bamboozle any judges in the case of Osun to give us judgment.
Is it why you're battling?
We didn't.
But brutally this time around?
No. Nobody's battling brutally. The people went to court, which they have a right to do. In Bayelsa, APC won an election in 2019, and a day before the swearing in, the courts ruled that the elected governor could not take power because of some legal complications. We didn't bring down the country, and we didn't ask for the courts to be dismantled. This idea that every time a verdict is against you, therefore somebody, the ruling party or somebody who is in power, is manipulating the courts. We can't have that. That's not something that is consistent with preserving our democratic culture. We can have that because if you follow that model, then we should abolish the courts. But who will move the motion to abolish the courts? And if you abolish the courts, what alternative will you have for dispute resolution? So I think that people need to just calm down. Yes, I know when they make those accusations, there's nothing legal about it. What happened with the CTC in Kano, as the court itself has explained, was a clerical error. And this happened. I'm a lawyer. This is my 35 years at the bar. I have seen that. I've read judgments where this was said and somebody just wrote the wrong thing.
What would you describe as a clerical error?
A clerical error is anything that is contained in the judgment, especially something that is so almost insignificant
for example, if I wanted to say moka and I say moku, that could be a clerical error.
That's a clerical error.
But when you have a whole paragraph that is modeled,
no, it wasn't.
Do you have the document? Maybe I can show you.
No, I have the document. Shemo, see, I've read the document.
67th page.
Yes.
The first, second, third paragraphs are totally different.
Okay.
The sentences are totally
Shemo, you just said different. 67 pages of a judgment.
Page, yeah. As a lawyer, you know that the last page is very fundamental. That is a verdict of the court.
No, Shehu.
That is the order of court. That is where the stamp of court is.
No, that is not the way it works. A judgment is a document. You don't read judgments in bits and pieces. You don't take one paragraph and read it in isolation of the other paragraphs. You don't take, legal issues, and especially appellate issues, even issues at the High Court, are resolved based on, grounds that are framed for determinations. They're called issues for determination, okay? Now, when you have 3 or 4 issues for determination, and a court that is, adjudicating resolves a first issue in favor of a particular party, resolves the second issue in favor of that same party, and resolves all the issues in favor of the same party, you cannot have a conclusion that contradicts the resolution of those issues. That is what you have in Kano. And so, somebody means to say the respondents, and it says, the appellant. That is something that happens all the time. Because, when you type in, even the person who is typing that document, sometimes is jaded. You see the same, word, respondent, maybe 1 million times in a document. Sometimes you are typing because of speed and make mistakes. But what matters here is that the court itself has come out to say this was the judgment we read in open court, and this error we have corrected to keep it in line with the judgment that was read in open court.
It's this Kano situation, not indicting, not making a mess of your party.
No, it's not.
In the eye of the public.
No, but what has
the right thinking mind of the public.
Come on. What has our party got to do with it? We are not the judge. We are not the, the clerks and the registrars.
You heard what the opposition is saying.
They can say what they want to say. That is, is their right. They have a fundamental right to free expression. They can say what they want, but that does not in any way cut the fact that the APC is not, the clerk of court. It's not the registrar of court. We're not the judges. We're not. So, you can't, attribute or ascribe, any errors emanating from the, registrar of the court to our party. We're only a party just like them.
You are the party in power, and if there is an allegation that your party has hijacked the judiciary,
then we should do what? No, tell me exactly what you expect us to do.
What should we do? That your party can wash its hands clean?
You go to, there's nothing to wash. You go to the higher court. In this case, luckily, they still have the Supreme Court to approach.
They say you have taken it over.
By what evidence? Look, is it okay for me to just, say somebody has taken over the Supreme Court without evidence?
So do we have any respect?
No, do we have any respect for? Of course, they completely lost in wandering. They lost in translation. That's what's going on. They lost in the court, and now they can't handle it. They need to actually, take a deep breath and handle it like mature people. Right now, they're acting like children. They're not acting properly.
Just remember, I want you to listen to the Ogun State PDP governorship candidate, Mr. Ladi Adebutu. He's been reacting to the appeal court judgment in Ogun State. Take a listen to him. This is the PDP governorship candidate in Ogun State.
We contested against the umpire. We didn't only contest against the umpire, we contested against people with limited thinking of sense of fairness, equity, and democracy that brought the powers of government to bear. You were molested, you were harassed, but you stood your ground and you voted. Despite that, our interested party was vested by the INEC to print electoral materials. We voted and we won with over 50,000 votes. Interestingly, we have had to fight an uphill battle to keep that mandate. It came as a joke when I was informed there were various clowning occasions where people said I had absconded because I had criminal charges.
That's Mr. Ladi Adebutu reacting to the judgment of the appeal court. I mean, he's definitely moved by the outcome, and he feels that it is being skewed in that. That's one of the reactions that you're getting. And particularly, you look at Kano State, for example, and the agitation on the street, the bonfires, and all of that. How can your party handle the outcome of some of these issues?
You know, there's nothing to handle, quite frankly. There's nothing to handle. I mean, we're talking about the outcome of cases in court. How do you handle the outcome of cases except to go back and prepare for, you know, the next challenge?
For those who think that it doesn't matter again for you to win an election at the polling units, now you have to wait to go and win in the court for an election where there is a 500,000 votes as against your party that had about 400,000, and now it's going to be scuttled. And those are some of the interpretation of the opposition.
No, is that, you know, look, let's be realistic here. Let's go beyond some of these wild allegations that the opposition makes. Do you know a country where the courts or the judicial system, where the authority is ousted with respect to electoral controversies? Is there such a country? If there is, maybe we need to go and copy their model. There's no such country. You know, look, I hate to give any example that is, you know, somewhere in the West. But, you know, sometimes you do that because that's where we have borrowed this model of democracy that we practice. In those countries where they come teach us and try to lecture and moralize about, you know, democracy, they themselves they dig deep in legal challenge of electoral outcomes. And when decisions are made, controversies never end.
Where there's a rampant accusation of the compromise of judiciary, of judges.
By what evidence? You don't just make, you see, these are serious issues.
ICPC, did you see the ICPC report that was released last year?
The ICPC report,
did you see it?
It was a report. It was a report.
Look, of an indictment of the deep of corruption in the judiciary.
You know, look, the ICPC is an investigative agency of federal government. If indeed they found that scale of corruption in the judiciary, you know what, I would expect to see a list in the appendix attached of those judges who were suspected or alleged to have, you know, compromised themselves. Attach it. Are judges beyond, you know, above the law? They're not above the law.
But what would your party do? I mean, are you running a government, a country where the judiciary is being seen? You see what Dino said? Dino said, I don't want to contest this in
court. Dino did not even contest the election itself. Dino did not. You are. This is Channels Television. You are the ultimate, you know, TV station in the country. Show me a tape where Dino was seen casting his vote during the election. He knows that if he goes to court, the first thing he's going to do as a star witness is to say, you know, I voted. He can't even testify on oath that he voted. So Dino's case is absolutely irrelevant to this conversation. So if he chooses not to go to court, it's because he has nothing to show to the judges in court. Not because, you know, he feels that the APC has in some way taken over the courts.
Mr. Philip, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.